Three factors could determine whether retiring at 62 with $2 million works or falls apart. That's why the real question isn't just, is $2 million enough to retire at 62? It's whether those three factors are working for you or against you. I'm Scott Sierens, a certified financial planner, and I've helped many clients with this same choice. And I find for a lot of people, the biggest fear isn't retiring too early. It's retiring and then realizing you got it wrong. Retiring early can work, but it only works if you understand the real variables that determine whether $2 million is truly enough. To show you what I mean, let's walk through a couple I'll call John and Lynn. This is a hypothetical case similar to retirement plans that we've helped with. John and Lynn are careful people. They've worked hard, saved about $2 million, but now they're 62, and based on some work and family changes, they're asking the big question. Can we really afford to retire, do what we want to do, and stay retired? John and Lynn worry about all the what ifs. What if private health insurance before Medicare kicks in costs too much? What if the market crashes and the retirement savings drops right after they retire? What if something big comes up that they didn't plan for? And I find that under all of those what if questions is one big fear. What if they retire now and then find out later that they made a mistake? Like not being able to live out their travel dreams, or even more embarrassing and scary, having to cut back on basic lifestyle needs, being forced to sell their home or downsize, or having to go back to work in their 70s. At the same time, they feel like they've given up so much to save for retirement. Now they want to enjoy their family, their grandkids, and the time they still have while they're young and healthy. So let's take a look at where John and Lynn stand today. Both are age 62. John's been with his company for 20 years and Lynn for 15 years. They have 2 children and 1 recent grandchild. For John, things have changed at work. It's not the same company he joined 20 years ago. He's exhausted and he feels like he needs change. Going through his mind is if he should look for a new job, or probably the real question is, can he just retire? For Lynn, as a recent grandparent, she's looking to retire so she can get as much time in as she can with her children and grandchild. Both just turning age 62, they're wondering if they can retire. So let's take a deeper look at John and Lynn's details. John and Lynn need about $8,500 per month to maintain their lifestyle. One of their big fears is the cost of health insurance until they turn age 65. Helping other clients out with health insurance, we'd estimate that this would be about $3,000 per month to cover both of them until they turn 65. Now, on top of this, they feel like they've put a lot off during their working years to help their kids with college and to save for retirement. So they're really hoping to enjoy the young and healthy part of the retirement years, which includes home renovations for around $50,000. For travel and activities and entertainment, they would like about $20,000 a year from when they retire until age 80. And then they mentioned that they'll need a couple of vehicles during their retirement, and they would like about $40,000 for each one. John's Social Security at full retirement age is $3,550 per month, and Lynn's is $2,850 a month. These extra items like travel, cars, and renovations, I really like to break these out. And that's because it's money that they're hoping to use for specific time frames during the young and healthy years of their lives. I like to call these retirement bonus checks. I found that breaking them out and factoring them into the plan, people feel more comfortable spending their bonus checks during retirement. Taking a look at what they have about $50,000 sitting in a savings account, $225,000 in their brokerage account, and then $1,775,000 in IRAs and 401ks. Overall, a little over $2 million in investable assets. Their home is worth about $650,000 and it's paid off. Now, like other people, John and Lynn have some fears and beliefs that may not be right. One of those beliefs is they just believe that they can't afford health insurance and then still enjoy their lifestyle. John and Lynn also watch a lot of videos online. They hear scary stats about success rates in retirement, and that makes them feel like every detail must just be perfect. Well, here's the truth. Fear grows when there is no plan. When you see your numbers and you know how much your money will pay you each month, that fear gets smaller. So the question is simple but tough. Will their $2 million be enough to cover their retirement story? If you're finding yourself in a similar situation but wondering what it would look like for your specific numbers and your bonus checks, after watching the projections for John and Lynn and then hearing the 3 factors that are going to impact their ability to retire, I invite you to watch another video that we've put together. In the video, we walk through the system we use to help turn your savings into retirement paychecks and bonus checks that you can count on. To watch the video, click the link in the description below. So let's take a look at the plan and what it looks like for John and Lynn. Now, the first thing that we want to take a look at is add in all of John and Lynn's bonus checks. You see, I like to do this first because if the plan works with the bonus checks layered into the plan, then great. If it doesn't work, then we now have an area where we know that we can go to potentially cut and make adjustments. So the first thing that we do is layer in all of the bonus checks. And you'll see here this matches up what we had shown on their cash flow and goals statement earlier. We've got health insurance until John and Lynn, extra money for health insurance until John and Lynn turn age 65. We've got money in there for renovations, vehicles. We've got the $20,000 a year for travel and entertainment through age 80. And then one thing that John and Lynn didn't mention, but they were very scared of a lot of what ifs. So one thing that we've layered in here is some health care towards the end of their plan. So what if John and Lynn have long-term health care costs? Maybe they need home health care, assisted living, or nursing home. That can be really, really expensive. So even though they didn't mention it, it's something that we've layered into their plan here. Now, you might be looking at this going, well, all of the numbers are the same, like the $20,000, it's the same throughout the retirement. I just like to show things this way because it's visually nice on the eyes, but we do factor in inflation, and it is factored into their plan. So inflation's factored in, and if we now look here, you can see the cost, the bonus checks do go up for each and every year of their lives. So inflation is factored into the plan, but we just keep it simple right now and say visually simple right now so you can see what it would look like just to make sure everything's included. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is optimizing their income sources. And really that's going to be around helping to optimize their Social Security. At age 62, they haven't started taking Social Security yet. Now, looking at the projections here, this is a Social Security heat map, and I want to explain what it takes into account. A lot of times when people look at Social Security, they're just looking at longevity. In this heat map here, it's taking into account what John and Lynn have saved up in their brokerage account, what they have in their IRAs and 401ks, and it's saying based on all of these different income sources, what would be the optimum years for John and Lynn to start Social Security to help give them the highest retirement paychecks throughout their retirement years. And the darker squares here in the heat map is saying, hey, these would be the potential years to help give them their highest retirement paychecks. So as you can see here, it's projecting that John take his Social Security at age 65 and Lynn takes hers at age 62. Now, this is just kind of keeping it short today around Social Security, but there's a lot of factors that go into Social Security. And a factor that could change this is longevity. And so in your situation, you'd want to look through all of the different factors when it comes to that. But our goals here today is to talk about the 3 factors that could really impact if John and Lynn are able to retire at age 62. So for today's purpose and projection, we're going to use John taking Social Security at age 65 and Lynn taking it at age 62. And then next thing that we want to do is we want to layer in all of the different income sources for their retirement. That would be Lynn's Social Security starting at age 62, John's Social Security starting at age 65. We have to think about longevity. What if John were to pass away and we put in here at age 87? So after we layer in when their Social Securities would start, now we're able to layer in the amount of money that we feel like John and Lynn could take out of their investments. And as you'll see here, it's not a flat amount through retirement. To help them in those young and healthy years when they want to spend more, you can see here that they're taking more out of their investments. The other thing is, though, they have to be prepared in the event that one spouse passes away. So you'll see towards the end of the plan, there's also higher amounts of withdrawals from their investments. So this third part now is layering in all of the income sources, and then what that's going to help us understand is what is the retirement paycheck that we feel that John and Lynn will have coming in throughout their retirement years. So the retirement paycheck here of $9,870, that is based on what they'll have coming in for Social Security, as well as what we believe that they could take out of their investments and help make their money last through retirement. So just to be very clear on this as well, and this is why I like to separate the bonus checks. This $9,870, that's just their base retirement paychecks. And then separate, and in addition to this, would be the bonus checks that we had talked about. So John and Lynn would have this money coming in between Social Security and their investments, and then they'd call up and say, hey, we're ready for that retirement bonus check of $20,000 for this year's travel and entertainment. So hopefully it helps you understand. I like to separate them because it makes then people more comfortable using those bonus checks in their retirement. So can John and Lynn retire? Well, the plan shows a gross paycheck of about $9,800 to $9,900 a month, with the majority of their money in pre-tax accounts. Most every dollar that they take out of their retirement savings is going to be taxed. That also makes their Social Security taxable. So after taxes, it's going to be pretty tight to the $8,500 a month that John and Lynn told us that they needed. So can they retire? Well, here's the thing. It's not just about the retirement paycheck. Whether they can retire really comes down to three factors. Factor number one is knowing your numbers. Let's just say John and Lynn said they spend about $8,500 a month. But is that a real number or is it just a guess? Because if it's only a guess, that's when trouble starts. You see, if John and Lynn were just guessing, it could lead them to working longer than they need to because they don't know what will work and what won't. If they were guessing and then their expenses turned out to be higher, it could lead them to having to go back to work because they underestimated what their expenses were and then they don't have enough coming in. Or it could lead them to retiring, but then having to give up all of the extras that they were looking forward to because they now have to cut into their fun expenses to make their regular retirement lifestyle work. However, if they do know their expense number and it's not a guess, it helps give them confidence that retirement is possible, even when it's tight, which leads us then to our second factor. Factor number two is flexibility. While it appears that it may work, John and Lynn's first thought was, well, what if we have a big surprise expense? Say $50,000 for a house repair or a medical bill. Well, with guardrails in place, the plan doesn't break. And going back to our projection, the bottom of the screen here is what I'm talking about when I mention guardrails. We put guardrails in place on their account value to know when John and Lynn would have to make adjustments. So they have a $50,000 unknown expense that comes up. Well, their $2 million would drop to $1,950,000. As you can see here, they're still within the guardrails. No panic, no going back to work, they're just closer to the point where adjustments might be needed. Now, John and Lynn also worry about the market. What if it crashes right after we retire? Well, that's where income flexibility matters. As you can see in our guardrail section here, and I'm going to expand this, let's just say they did experience an account value drop due to market conditions. Again, retirement isn't pass or fail. They're just going to need to make a small adjustment of $500 per month. So it's not pass or fail, it's knowing when to adjust. And maybe that year they just skip a big vacation or wait a few more months to buy that car. You see, small changes really help keep the plan strong. Flexibility also gives them choice. If they want to spend more in their early, active years, well, they can. For example, if we shift their retirement paycheck to $10,600 per month, you can see that it does bring them closer to the lower guardrail and closer to having to make an adjustment. But if they're okay with the trade-off, maybe for them, it might be worth it. It's just that flexibility puts them in control. Factor number 3, having a backup plan. You see, here's the big unknown, long-term health care. If they save too much for it, well, they may be holding back money that they could enjoy during their young and healthy years. But if they don't plan for it, or plan enough for it, it could really drain their savings fast. So in this case, we did build in $5,000 per month per each person during the last 3 years of their life. Is that the right number? It's just a number that we've built in for the plan, but a full discussion needs to be had around this topic. And something to understand is that if costs do end up higher, an option could be to downsize or sell their home. You see, the point is to have options, not just guesses. So here's what John and Lynn learned. The number by itself, $2 million, isn't the answer. The plan is. They also learned that private health insurance doesn't have to be scary, it just needs to be in the plan. And if the market drops and surprise costs come up, well, those don't end retirement. They just mean that you might have to make some small changes. Retirement isn't pass or fail. It's a lifetime of reviews and making adjustments. In my opinion, John and Lynn can retire at 62 and stay retired if they do 3 simple things. Number 1, knowing their expenses. Number 2, staying flexible. And number 3, having a backup plan for late life care. Now, if you're ready to see how this works with your own numbers, I invite you to take the next step. Click the link below and we'll show you the system to help map out your retirement paychecks, your bonus checks, and your guardrails so you can retire and stay retired with confidence. You don't have to guess. You don't have to fear the unknowns. With the right plan, you can retire and stay retired. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.